Let me start by saying this. I love the aquarium hobby. I've been keeping fish for years, and I think it's one of the most rewarding hobbies out there. But let's be honest, there are some fish that should absolutely not be sold to the general public. I'm not talking about banning fish because they look scary or because they're exotic. I'm talking about fish that cause real problems, fish that grow way too big for home aquariums, fish that destroy ecosystems when they're released into the wild, and fish that, frankly, most people have no business owning. Today, we're counting down 10 fish that I believe should either be illegal to own or at the very least, much harder to buy. And before you come at me in the comments, hear me out. I don't want these fish banned because I hate them. I want stricter regulations because I care about the hobby, I care about the environment, and I care about the welfare of these animals. So let's dive in. Number 10, the Common Pleco. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Really? The pleco? That's the fish they tell you to buy as a beginner. Exactly. That's the problem. The Common Pleco is sold at every single pet store as the ultimate algae eater. They're cheap, they're hardy, and they do eat algae when they're small. But here's what they don't tell you at the store. Common Plecos can grow up to 2 feet long. That's right. That little 3-inch fish you bought for your 20-gallon tank. In a few years, it's going to be the size of your forearm. Most people don't have a tank big enough to house an adult pleco. So what do? They release them into local waterways. And that's where the real problem starts. In places like Florida and Texas, released plecos have become a serious invasive species. They burrow into riverbanks, which causes erosion. They outcompete native fish for food and shelter. They completely disrupt the ecosystem. My pick for a solution? Require pet stores to inform buyers about the adult size and provide care sheets that include tank size requirements. Better yet, stop selling common plecos entirely and promote smaller species like the bristlenose pleco, which maxes out at about 5 inches. Number 9, the red-tailed catfish. If the common pleco is bad, the red-tailed catfish is a disaster. These fish are sold as cute little babies with bright red tails and big eyes, and people impulse buy them without doing any research. Here's the issue. Red-tailed catfish can grow over 4 feet long and weigh more than 80 pounds. You need a pond or a tank that's literally the size of a small swimming pool to house one properly. And even if you have the space, these fish eat constantly. They will devour anything that fits in their mouths, including other fish, and yes, even smaller pets if they get access. The bigger problem is what happens when people realize they can't keep them. Some try to rehome them, but most public aquariums won't take them because they already have too many. So people release them into lakes and rivers where they become apex predators and wipe out native species. I prefer a solution where red-tailed catfish sales are heavily regulated. Maybe require a permit, prove you have adequate space, or mandate that stores only sell them to licensed facilities. Because selling a 4-foot fish to someone with a 55-gallon tank is just irresponsible. Number 8, the Pacu. Oh, the Pacu. This is the fish that everyone buys because it looks like a piranha, but is marketed as vegetarian. And sure, Pacus are primarily herbivores, but that doesn't mean they're harmless. First, they get huge, up to 3 feet long and 60 pounds in some cases. Second, they have human-like teeth that can deliver a nasty bite. There are documented cases of Pacus biting swimmers in South America, and it's not pretty. But again, the real issue is people releasing them into the wild. Pacus have been found in rivers and lakes all over the United States, from New York to California. They survive in warmer climates and disrupt local ecosystems by eating vegetation that native species rely on. I'm going with a solution similar to the red-tailed catfish: strict regulations. If you want to own a Pacu, you should have to prove you can house it for life, and stores should be required to educate buyers about the true size and care requirements. Number 7, the Alligator Gar. Now we're getting into the truly wild stuff. The Alligator Gar is one of the largest freshwater fish in North America. They can grow up to 8 feet long and weigh over 300 pounds. They have rows of sharp teeth, and they look like something out of a dinosaur movie. So naturally, people want to own them. The problem is obvious. Almost no one has the facilities to properly care for an 8-foot predatory fish. These belong in public aquariums, research facilities, or their natural habitats, not in someone's basement tank. On top of that, alligator gars are a protected species in some states because of overfishing and habitat loss. Selling them to hobbyists who can't care for them long-term is not only irresponsible, it's harmful to conservation efforts. My pick here is simple: ban private ownership entirely, or at minimum, require special permits and regular inspections. These fish are too large, too specialized, and too ecologically important to be casual pets. Number 6. The Arowana. Arawanas are often called dragonfish, and in some cultures, they're considered symbols of luck and prosperity. They're stunningly beautiful, and I totally get why people want them. But here's the thing: Arawanas are expensive, they're enormous, and they require expert-level care. Depending on the species, they can grow anywhere from 2 to 3 feet long. They need massive tanks, at least 250 gallons, but preferably more. They're also jumpers, so you need a heavy, secure lid, or you'll come home one day to find your $1,000 fish on the floor. But the bigger issue is the illegal trade. Some species of Arowana, like the Asian Arowana, are endangered and protected under international law. Despite this, they're still smuggled and sold on the black market. People pay tens of thousands of dollars for rare color morphs, which only fuels the illegal trade and puts wild populations at greater risk. I prefer a world where Arowana ownership is tightly controlled. Buyers should need to provide proof of proper tank size, and sellers should be required to verify the legality of their stock. And honestly, some species should just be off-limits to private owners entirely. Alright, we're halfway through the list, and we've already covered some serious problem fish. But trust me, it gets even worse. Let's keep going. Number 5. The Oscar. Now, before the Oscar lovers attack me, let me be real clear. I actually like Oscars. They have amazing personalities, they're interactive, and they can be fantastic pets. But they are also one of the most commonly surrendered fish in the hobby, and that tells you something. Oscars are sold as cute little 2-inch babies, and most people have no idea that they're going to grow into foot-long, aggressive, messy eating machines. A proper Oscar setup requires at least a 75-gallon tank, heavy filtration, and frequent water changes. They produce an insane amount of waste. The other problem: Oscars are super aggressive. They will eat any fish small enough to fit in their mouths, and they will fight with other Oscars if the tank isn't big enough. So many people buy them, stick them in a 30-gallon community tank, and then wonder why all their other fish are disappearing. And of course, when the Oscar gets too big or too aggressive, people release them. In Florida, feral Oscar populations are thriving in canals and waterways, where they outcompete native species. My pick for a solution is mandatory education at the point of sale. Pet stores should be required to explain adult size, tank requirements, and compatibility before selling an Oscar. It's a simple step that could prevent a lot of problems. Number 4. The Flowerhorn Cichlid. Flowerhorns are a man-made hybrid fish, bred specifically for their bright colors and the massive hump on their heads. They're incredibly popular in some parts of the world, especially in Asia, where they're kept for good luck. But they are also some of the most aggressive freshwater fish you can own. Flowerhorns will attack anything in their tank, including their own reflection. Most flowerhorn owners keep them alone because they simply cannot coexist with other fish. But here's the real issue. Flowerhorns are hybrids, which means they don't exist in nature. If they're released into the wild, and they have been, they can interbreed with native cichlids and create genetic pollution that threatens wild populations. There are documented cases in places like Malaysia and Singapore where flowerhorn hybrids have disrupted entire ecosystems. I'm going with the opinion that hybrid fish like flowerhorns should come with clear warnings and possibly require a signed agreement that the buyer will not release them into the wild. It's about protecting native species and ecosystems. Number 3. The Bichir. Bichirs are prehistoric-looking fish that have been around for millions of years, and they are absolutely fascinating. They breathe air, they have armored scales, and they look like tiny dinosaurs. I actually recommended them in my earlier video for a 55-gallon tank. So why are they on this list? Because people don't research them. Bichirs are escape artists. If there's even a tiny gap in your tank lid, they will find it and squeeze out. There are countless stories of people finding their Bichir dried out on the carpet the next morning. On top of that, Bichirs are predators. They will eat anything that fits in their mouths, and their mouths are bigger than you think. Small fish, shrimp, even smaller Bichirs, they're all fair game. The problem is that pet stores often sell them without explaining these behaviors, and people buy them thinking they're just another cool community fish. I prefer a system where Bichirs are sold with mandatory care instructions and a warning label about their escape tendencies and predatory nature. They're amazing fish, but they're not for everyone. Number 2, the lionfish. Now we're moving into saltwater territory. Lionfish are absolutely gorgeous. They have these dramatic, flowing fins and bold stripes, and they're one of the most recognizable fish in the ocean. But they are also one of the most venomous fish you can keep. Those beautiful fins? They're equipped with venomous spines that can cause extreme pain, swelling, and in rare cases, serious medical complications. If you get stung, you're probably going to the hospital. But the environmental issue is even worse. Lionfish are native to the Indo-Pacific, but they've become a catastrophic invasive species in the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf of Mexico. How did they get there? People released their pet lionfish into the ocean. Now, they're breeding out of control, eating native fish, and destroying coral reef ecosystems. There are literally government-funded programs trying to eradicate them. My pick for lionfish? They should only be sold to experienced saltwater aquarists who can prove they have proper safety measures in place. And honestly, I think there should be a total ban on importing them to regions where they're invasive. The ecological damage they cause is just too severe. And now, number 1, the Arapaima. If you thought the red-tailed catfish was big, the Arapaima is on another level. This is one of the largest freshwater fish in the world. They can grow up to 10 feet long and weigh over 400 pounds. They are native to the Amazon basin, and they are absolutely magnificent animals. But they have no place in a home aquarium. Keeping an Arapaima requires a tank that is essentially a small indoor pond. Think 1,000 gallons or more. The filtration system alone would cost thousands of dollars. And because they breathe air, they need access to the surface at all times. On top of the logistical nightmare of keeping them, Arapaimas are also listed as a threatened species due to overfishing and habitat destruction. The fact that they're sold in the aquarium trade at all is baffling to me. These fish belong in public aquariums, conservation programs, or their natural habitats, not in someone's living room. I'm going with a hard stance here. Private ownership of Arapaima should be completely banned unless the owner is a licensed research facility or accredited zoo. These are not pets. They are wildlife, and they deserve to be treated as such. So there you have it. 10 fish that I believe should either be illegal to own or much, much harder to buy. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying people who own these fish are bad people. A lot of folks genuinely didn't know what they were getting into. The real problem is the lack of regulation and education in the aquarium industry. Pet stores are incentivized to sell fish, not to educate buyers. And until that changes, we're going to keep seeing these same problems over and over again. So what do you think? Do you agree with my list, or do you think I'm being too harsh? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my other video on the best fish for every aquarium size. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.